Yeah, fan, this work undo. Come back at you with another video. So today, guess what? I'm going to give you what would be a perfect off season for the Atlanta Falcons. This is my opinion. So I definitely want to hear from everybody else what you guys think would be, a perfect off season for the Atlanta Falcons. But I'm gonna give my opinion, right? What I think the Atlanta Falcons need to do. And they would have to fall into a perfect role, of course, because everything had to fall in place. We had to get what we want, right? We know what the big priority is for the Atlanta Falcons, get the quarterback, whatever. But however, if the Atlanta Falcons can do this, I think we would be right where we want to be the start of the 2024 season, going to training camp. So this is going to be exciting. Sit back. I'm going to go over about 5 or 6 things that I think the Atlanta Falcons, if they do this, in my opinion, and once again, like I said, in my opinion, the Atlanta Falcons definitely will have a perfect NFL offseason. Nothing's perfect, but it's going to be close to it. And I'm going to stand on it, right? So, what we're going to do, I'm going to be checking off the list as out the offseason go. And if they hit some of these markers, right, I can say, yeah, this is what they was able to do. All right. With that being said, guys, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit that notification bell so you know when I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys out here I talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come in and hear me talk about. That's right, these Atlanta Falcons. So, guys, we're gonna get right into it. Shout out first to Philip Crawford, King, Atlanta Super supporter, and EQ. What's going on, all you guys? Let's go ahead and get off. My first thing that I think we got to do, right, and that's they got to add more cap space, right? So this is right here in the world where the Atlanta Falcons, like I said, this gonna trigger that perfect off season that I'm talking about. So they got to add more cap space. Now we all know Atlanta Falcons is. I mean, the NFL is a business, right? So in order to add cap space, the Atlanta Falcons they sit at about $25 million right now over the cap, right? That's what if you go look over the cap, you go look at Spotrac, about the same, about $25 million, right? That's where they sit right now. But for the Atlanta Falcons have that perfect offseason that I envision for them to have, they have to add more cap space. It's just simple as that because what I want to do, I want them to be able to go out and target guys in free agency, right? So I want them to be able to add cap space. So in order for them to do that, right, they can go ahead and they cut 3 guys at about $17 million, would have bring it up to about 42 million dollars, over the cap. And I think if they do that, they definitely be where they want to be. Now they can actually do some restructures as well if they so-called, if they desire to do some restructures. But if they just, cut 3 guys on this roster at about $17 million, and if they do that, right now the Atlanta Falcons can actually start to get into the off season that I envision for them to have. So the first guy is definitely, we all know who that is. It's going to be Taylor Heineke, right? You get about $6.5 million back in cap savings on that. So that's one of the things. The first guy you're going to release. You're going to keep Desmond on the roster, right? I think he's a solid backup quarterback. He's still young, still can improve and things like that. He's just not our guy for our franchise guy. So I definitely want to throw that out. He he is not our Sorry about that, guys. Once again, hey, when you going live, that's what happens, right? That's what happens going live. I don't know um what happened right there, but I had to switch my camera out, and I'm going ahead and use my camera from my laptop instead of going to use the mobile camera that I have. But anyway, where I was, so let's go ahead and get in some of these comments right now because I'm glad you guys was able to stay on with me. Um, all right, so we gotta say they need no more cap space. That's what he's saying, right? They do need. I'm looking for a lot faster players on defense. It cut off. Yes, it did cut off. I'm sorry about that. I'm back. I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. Falcons going to be dangerous. Yes, they are. What's up, chat? What's up, Condo? What's up, A1 man? What's up, Chris? What's up, A1 Sport? Yeah, man. All good, brother. Let's do it. All right. Ooh, cool. So I'm glad we back, man. We glad we back. All right. So like I was saying was, um, definitely add more cap space. So the first person I talked about Taylor Heineke. All right. I think that Atlanta Falcons have their backup quarterback already on the team. Desmond Ritter. He's still young, cheap contract. Definitely can come in and play, play backup for you. He's going to improve. He's a young guy, but he's just not our franchise guy, right? So I don't hate Desmond Ritter, but he's just not our franchise guy. So definitely he could be the backup. So with that being said, you can go ahead and get that cap space back for a guy like Taylor Heineke, and that would be about $6.5 million, right? So that's your first cap savings that you can have, right? Your next guy, and like I said, it's a business. You're going to go ahead and you're going to cut Lorenzo Carter, right? Lorenzo Carter played decent last year, but I'm just honest. If you can get about $3.5 million of cap space back, right? I wouldn't mind that as well. So that's another guy that you can actually cut and add more cap savings, right? And then the last guy, a guy that Arthur Smith brought in last year, definitely um, talented guy. So I understand if they would want to keep him and things like that and help keep him in the fold. But however, you already have Kyle Pitts here, so John Smith is another guy that they can cut. That'll save another $6.5 million, right, on the cap space. Like I said, if they just cut those three guys, that'll give about 17 million bucks added to that 25 million, which get up to about $42 million in cap space, right? So that's the first thing the Atlanta Falcons need to do to make this a perfect season for me, right? Right now, if you want to add more cap space, like somebody mentioned in the chat, definitely they want to just decide to add more cap space. They could definitely do that. So if they want to do that, they can go ahead and do that by restructuring. You can restructure Jake Matthews' contract or Grady Jarrett's contract. You can do that. You can even restructure a guy that we just signed last year and Jesse Bates the third, right? Because he's going to be here a while. He's a stud. So if you want to restructure his contract, you can do that as well. If you restructure all three of those guys, now you're cooking with grease, right? But we just got out of cap hell, so if they feel like they can make the moves they need to make, with that 42 million vice going out and actually, restructuring contracts and you just releasing guys, that's the way to go. That's so it depends on which direction they want to go and how much cap space they think they need to go out and get guys that they need to get, right? Now remember when you adding guys in free agency, don't just look at the how much cap them because you add a guy, right? You're not going to sign them to that amount that season right away, right? So because they get signing bonuses and things like that. So even though you only got 42 million, you can go out and sign a guy for just say you sign him for $40 million or $25 million a year. $25 million will not come off the cap for 2024. You guys understand that, right? So just keep that in mind. So $42 million, in my opinion, is should suffice. But if they want to add more, definitely have means to do that because they can restructure guys that they know going to be here for a while, right? Guys like Jesse Bates, Grady Jarrett, and less more of Jake Matthews because he is coming up on age. So if you don't want to restructure here, I understand that. But guys that you know is going to be here a while, guys you just signed to do deals. You can actually restructure their contract and add more cap space to to the roster, right? So that's one of the so that would be the first thing the Atlanta Falcons need to do. They need to go ahead and make cut moves on those three guys. They want to add more cap space. They definitely can do that. I have no issue with that at all. So that's what I'm talking about. They definitely can do that, right? So that's the first thing they got to do, guys. Add more cap space. Add more cap space. Yep. So those are the names. Now we do also know that today we probably need to say our farewells to Cordell Patterson because today his contract got voided. Now that's going to end up being some dead cap for us. But right now the Atlanta Falcons got like $3 million dead cap. So we have a really clean cap, right? So even with Cordell Patterson coming off the books today, his contract was voided. He's now a free agent. It's only like $3.5 million dead cap on the Atlanta Falcons books, which is really outstanding, right? So we got to give our kudos to Terry Fontenot and the front office by the means of way they cleaned up the cap. You have to love that, right? That's something that's special what they did, right? Fixing the cap with a pretty good roster already built in place, right? Then I said they got $25 million in cap space today, and then they can add more if they want to, by making just those three cuts right there. And they want to do some restructures, they can still have a clean cap for the most part, moving forward, right? So that's the first thing they got to do, right? So um, that's my goal. That's the one first step to having that perfect off season for the Atlanta Falcons. All right, the next thing they have to do is AJ Terrell and Kyle Pitts, right? Of course, it's not in any order or anything like this, but they really need to make sure they take care of their guys on the roster, and that's AJ Terrell and Kyle Pitts. AJ Terrell, right? He's going into his fifth season. They need to go ahead and make a contract, extension with him, right? This is also add more cap space to the roster if they do this, right? Because they can sign him this year and they can move all his money, towards the right, and that would actually clear up even more cap for the Atlanta Falcons this season. So getting an extension done with AJ Terrell would also add more cap space, right? So that's one of the things they definitely need to do. Go ahead and make a decision. Now I think AJ Terrell, you know, kind of lost a little bit of his value this season, off season. He's still going to be paid as one of the top corners in the league, but he won't reset the corner market. I don't think he should reset the corner market. So go ahead and taking care of AJ Terrell should be one of their second things they do after they, go ahead and make the roster cuts. Go ahead and get an extension done with AJ Terrell as soon as possible to add that more cap space to that 2024 cap, right? So that's one of the things they got to do. The second thing they really need to do, they need to go ahead and make a decision on Kyle Pitts, right? Picking up his fifth year option. Now they don't have to make the decision until May, right? But if you know you got a guy, you want to keep the guy, you can go ahead and make the decision. You don't have to wait to May to do it, right? They got to like May 2nd to make this decision on Kyle Pitts picking up his fifth year option for next season. But I think we all agree that Kyle Pitts, was still kind of lingering from that injury he had a couple of seasons ago. So last season he was just come back, didn't realize he actually had MCL, yeah, and a PCL, right? He just didn't have that one injury. She had a PCL and an MCL injury, and it kind of showed on the field the way he moved around, right? So being a couple years removed from that injury, and we can see Kyle Pitts coming back to form and things he's going to do. We already heard the offensive coordinator Zach Robinson talking about making sure that the playmakers on this team get the ball. So we should see Kyle Pitts, hopefully getting more touches within this offense. And that means they actually need to go ahead and pick up that fifth year option. So, looking at this ideal 2024 perfect offseason for the Atlanta Falcons, they need to go ahead and take care of AJ Terrell, and they need to pick up Kyle Pitt fifth year option. So let me know what you think about that, guys, before we get into the next step they need to do. Let's see here. You say Grady Jarrett cut or traded? No. Why are we going to cut Grady Jarrett? Like, no, A1, no, we're not going to do that. We're not cutting Grady Jarrett, man. He's ready. He's ready to roll. What's good? As an exciting offseason would be getting someone like Hunter, Burns, Allen, or get our future quarterback. So yeah, we're going to talk about it. All right, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. See. So, um, that Xbox One he's already on it. He already got an idea. I think AJ will be extended this year. Remember, Raw is on the staff when AJ will be drafted. Yeah, I think, like I said, I think he's gonna do it. What I would like them to do is get it done before the new league year. They can do that. He's already on the roster, so they can, go ahead and extend him as soon as they want to. So that's one thing I would hope they go ahead and do. Go ahead and extend him. Like I said, we can see that cap space and see where it's at, right? So that's what I'm hoping they decide to do when they go ahead and actually, um, you know, make that decision on AJ. Get it done, just like they did Chris Lindstrom. They was able to sign Chris Lindstrom right when the season started. They could do the same thing. You know, they could do the same thing. I was able to fix the camera, guys. That camera, man, it was freaking blurry. I didn't like the way it looked, so I had to try to fix it, and I was able to do it. So thanks for bearing me with that, guys. So yeah, so definitely, like I said, AJ Terrell, Kyle Pitts will be. A1 says, which say A1, just asking. It's a business, and we would have nice cap space. I love Grady Jarrett, man, but yeah, I get it. But yeah, they're not gonna do that, right? I mean, because they don't need to, right? I mean, we're not like the New Orleans Aints when they're like 80 something million dollars over cap right now. If we was over the cap, you would have to make tough decisions like that and get rid of some of your best players on the team. But at this point, Atlanta Falcons, like I said, had a clean cap, $3 million in dead cap, 25 million over the cap. You would not want to get rid of your best players. So, yeah, you're right, but I don't think they would never have to go down that road if they decide to do that. All right, the next move. So those are two moves: add cap space, fix your own guys on the roster. All right, now we need to talk about being aggressive in free agency. Right, we got to be aggressive in free agency. But so before I talk about the free agency in the league, right? I want to talk about our own free agents first, right? Because we got like 20 free agents that was with the players that was with the team last year that's no longer going to be on this team, right? Um, Guys in particular that I'm talking about, guys like Bud Dupree, guys like Calais Campbell. You can think about a guy like Jeff Okuda, Van Jefferson, right? Then you go down the list of a whole host of other guys that the Atlanta Falcons might want to consider when they think about free agency. So Atlanta Falcons, they had Keith Smith on this roster forever. You guys know, but do these Atlanta Falcons, this coaching staff decided to bring Keith Smith back. You got Carter Hodge, Mac Hollins, Scotty Miller, Storm Norton, the guy who came in and filled the right tackle position when Caleb McGarry went down last year. Matt Hennessy, right? Matt Hennessy, will they decide to bring Matt Hennessy back? Michael Pruitt will be a good guy to bring back, especially if they decide to go ahead and release Jonnu Smith, like I mentioned. Contavious Street, when Grady Jerry went down, Contavious Street came in and played good, rotation minutes for this team. He actually started for Atlanta Falcons when Grady went down, but then he got hurt himself. So definitely, you think about Contavious Street. You got defensive tackle Joe Gaziano. You got Albert Huggins. You got Andre Smith, and you got Trey Flowers, right? So from all those guys, we got to be able to fill depth on these rosters, right? And get some of these guys on veteran deals, bring some of these guys back will be awesome. to do that, because right now we got like 38 players, on the contract. Of course, they got some future contracts out there, but we got like 38 players on the contract. So we're gonna have to sign some of these guys anyway. And you want to build your depth out, right? So for our own free agents, who are some of those guys that we can actually bring back to the fold, right? Guys in mind, of course, right off the bat, guys like Calais Campbell and Bud Dupree, especially if you're going to go ahead and release Lorenzo Carter. I think Bud Dupree will be a good a guy to bring in. Two veterans that really, played well for the Atlanta Falcons, tied with the sack lead for the team, both of those guys. So bringing those guys back to the fold, I think would be good. Van Jefferson, I know a lot of people wasn't that impressed with Van Jefferson, but he does have familiarity with this Atlanta Falcon new coaching regime, with, coming from the Los Angeles Rams, right? So he understands the offense. He can help that. We got to get a receiver, more receivers anyway. So bringing a guy like Van Jefferson back, I like Cardell Hodge and Mac Hollins as well, because both of those guys are good receivers, but they also play really well on special teams. Remember, special teams are key, right? So that'll give us about 4 wide receivers out there. So definitely expect them to go get wide receiver, you know, in other free agency or in the draft, right? So we gonna have to, target that spot anyway. So if they keep 6 wide receivers, that's 2 more spots open if they bring those guys back. But you want to have a mixture of veterans and young guys out there. So that's where what I'm thinking from the guys that we should bring back from free agency. Our own free agents first, because you definitely want to look at your own free agents before you go into outside and start looking at other free agents. So that's one of the things I'm thinking about. Let's see what we got here. Okuda's market is at 14.7 million. Yeah, that's what they got on Sport Track. I don't think I don't think he'll garner that much though. I agree. I seen that as well, but I don't think Okuda would. I think we could make our deal with him, come in at like 8 or 9 million. I think 14 million is too much, too rich. I know that's what they saying his value is, but nah, I don't see that. So, you know, for me, that would be a no. I would definitely not do that. If we bring back Okuda and resign AJ, both of those guys, 6 year, 96 million, lock up our third cornerback and offer as a nickel. Yeah, I get it. I mean, that's a good idea. You can do that. You can definitely do that. But like I said, for both of those guys, AJ and Okuda, um, I think the Atlanta Falcons can get some team friendly deals from those guys, right? Now, AJ, he's still on the contract, so he's a hometown kid. Maybe he will take a hometown discount. Like I said, he didn't live up to, if you go back and look at his numbers had dropped over the last 2 seasons. So, um, I think they can get a hometown discount for AJ. Not trying to, be in the man pocket or anything like that, but I'm just saying they can get a hometown discount for him. Then Okuda, 14 million is too high for me. Sort of like what they did with Caleb McGarry. He was coming up, around that $19 million range, and they was able to get him to come back for less than that. So, if they can work their magic and bring these guys back, I will be happy with with a lower market value than is suggesting that they probably get, out there on the market. And yes, let's rock and roll with our own free agents. We definitely want to bring those guys back. Um, let's see, Jefferson Ricondo, my guy. What's up? What's up, man? What's up? Wide receivers deep in draft. We should double dip 100%. I agree with that. So, instead of bringing back those 3 guys, bring back 2 of those guys. I think you got to bring back some veterans no matter what. You got to bring back some veteran receivers. So, like when you're talking about free agency, we're going to look at our own free agents first, and you're going to bring back a couple of receivers. You just got Cardell Hodge might be the one. If you bring back Cardell Hodge, and let's say, I'm saying Van Jefferson because he have familiarity with the coaching staff. That's the only reason I'm saying him. And then, like you said, we're going to draft everybody else, going free agency. They got Hollywood Brown out there, so a guy that can take the top off the roof. If you bring him in, maybe don't need a guy like Van Jefferson, but I'm just saying, that's that's where I'm leaning towards our own free agents. Calais, Bud Dupree, team friendly deals, of course, bring those guys in, and then of course you go out and get a couple of those receivers as well. You said starting cornerback 14 million. Is it still? Yes. Well, yeah, but I'm trying to get it for less than 14. I'm just saying. I'm tracking with you. They can get it for less than 14. I'm riding. I mean, AJ, you probably gonna be in that 14 to 17 million range. I agree, but Jeff Okudah, no, I don't think so. So what's going on, Rakunda? If they don't fit what they have him not going to resign them, we're going to sign some players from the Rams when they hit the market. I agree. You always going to bring guys in that fit your scheme, 100%. So when we get into it, when I talk about the free agents on the outside, 100%, you're going to really look into that right there. See, A1 on the same page. 9 million for a Cooter is the most I'll draft the corner. Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's the most I do. I give him 9 mil. 9 million is what I'm going for. 9 mil, 3 year, 27 million for Jeff Okudah. I think that's a good deal, man. Come on. I mean, that's where I would go. So, that's me. That's just me. All right, guys. So when I say be aggressive, right? And I think let's go back up here because I forgot who mentioned it, but they talked about Danielle Hunter. They talk about Brian Burns. They talk about Josh Allen, right? That's what I mean by be aggressive. All right. We need a pass rusher that's going to be really dominant. So the Atlanta Falcons, for this perfect 2024 season, right? The Atlanta Falcons need to go get a dominant pass rusher in free agency, right? You don't want to take a chance in the draft. You can draft a guy in the draft, but if you want to go ahead and actually get somebody, a known commodity, a guy that can get the job done. I mean, the last time they did it, think about it. The last time we had a dominant pass rusher, that's what they did. They went in free agency and they went and got John Abraham, right? John Abraham. And if you look at his stats from 30 to 35, he had 66 sacks, right? That's awesome, right? We can't say that one of the best pass rushers we ever had in Atlanta Falcons history. Probably the best, if you want to just be honest. But John Abraham, they went and got him in free agency. And my thought is the Atlanta Falcons need to be aggressive. And what I mean by that should be their number one thing in free agency is go get the best pass rusher they can get. The Neil Hunters out there. Now it's been talked about Brian Burns and Josh Allen probably gonna get franchise tags. So if that's the case, there's nothing we can do about those franchise tags. We do know tomorrow they can actually start the franchise tags, guys. So guys on other teams gonna start to get designated as franchise tags. So look out for guys like T. Higgins. Look out for Winfield Jr. from the Bucks. Look out for, like I said, Josh Allen from the Jags. Look out for Brian Burns from the Carolina Panthers. So all those guys, if they don't get franchise tags, yes, the Falcons need to be aggressive and try to bring one of those guys in, right? That's where they need to be, right? The market value for those guys is over 20 million right now. I'm telling you, if you go get a guy like Danielle Hunter, who has had 5 straight years of double-digit sacks, 5 straight years. If you want to get somebody that, and like I said, yes, he's going to be 30-year-old, but if you go just look at what John Abraham did from his 30-year, from being 30 to like 35, he still racked up 66 sacks. So you still have opportunity to be dominant, and we all know that Danielle Hunter is not going to fall off a cliff right away like that. So it's not going to happen. He had over 10 sacks again this season. Guys, this is what the Atlanta Falcons need to do. They need to be aggressive. They need to go get a pass rusher in free agency. Don't want to wait to the draft, right? The pass rushing is not that deep in the draft anyway, edge rushers and things like that. So you're really going to be gambling if you decide to do that. And one reason you're going to get to my point because we got to talk about the quarterback position. So you gotta be able to go get your pass rusher in free agency. It's a need. When you go in free agency, you go get something that's known, a known commodity, something that you already know. It's not a guessing game. You're not trying to add depth. You go get a guy that's proven in free agency, and you go get one of those studs, one of those studs that I just mentioned, and bring him to the fold. And I promise you, that will be a home run hit for the Atlanta Falcons. Last year, you guys remember we talked religiously about Jesse Bates. If the Atlanta Falcons go get Jesse Bates, we probably talked about Jesse Bates for like 2 seasons, right? Waiting to see if the Atlanta Falcons. And guess what? The first big name they went and did when they had money, they went and got Jesse Bates. Well, I'm saying it again, Atlanta Falcons, be aggressive. Go get your pass rusher, because if you do this, you're going to be setting yourself up for dominant 2024 season. I mean, if you get a dominant pass rusher with Grady Jarrett and Dave Amayada coming up the middle, man, offensive line is going to be in trouble. We just, you got to see it. You got to see that vision, because Grady Jarrett has never had a dominant pass rusher, you know. And just imagine with Dave Amayada and him both right there. I would just love it. So that's once again, guys. This is my perfect off season for the Atlanta Falcons. So I just wanted you to know that. So that's where I'm at when I said be aggressive. You know, it's a lot of more holes to fill other than just pass rusher, right? We might need to go in and get another safety. We might need to go get, we talked about the cornerback position. We just talked about Jeff Okudah. If they were to bring him back, I think we'll be good there. But maybe another linebacker. I like our three that we have, but if you want to create depth, you got to be able to fill some holes there. But the biggest thing for me in free agency is to go out and get a pass rusher, right? We're talking about defense once again, right? Our defense was really outstanding this year. Probably one of the biggest jump from 1 year to the next, what Atlanta Falcons was able to do this year from a defensive standpoint, right? That's what we saw. If you go get a guy like Danielle Hunter, you go get a guy like Burns or freaking Josh Allen, you're really cooking with grease. They can go be aggressive in the wide receiver room as well if they want to go get one of these prolific wide receivers. I know a lot of people was talking about Michael Pittman Jr. He kind of reminded me of Drake London, so I don't know if he's the prototypical guy, but it sounds like he's going to get franchise tag. Going to throw this name out there because they're playing with our draft pick. Go get Calvin Ridley back, right? If they don't want to sign him to an extension, we already got a 3rd round pick anyway, right? They already gave us that 3rd round pick, so we already got number 79 overall. So if they don't want to pay Calvin Ridley because they don't want to give us a 2nd round pick, guess what? We'll just bring him back to Atlanta. He was here when Raheem Morris was here. He knows him. This is a totally different scheme than what Arthur Smith had. We know that Calvin Ridley has talent, right? So definitely, if Calvin Ridley back, I'm just throwing it out there. Right? I know how a lot of people might feel about his last season here with the Atlanta Falcons, but the kid can play. He's talented, right? And if the Jacksonville Jaguars don't want to give him a contract, guess what? We'll take it. We'll take it. Just don't bet on the team anymore, right? Let's see. Um, you said I like Corley, Brassard, Baker as 3rd round picks for wide receiver. Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, I haven't gotten to the draftees yet for wide receivers, but this draft class is real. I mean, it's a certain positions that's really deep, and the wide receiver is really deep, right? So you don't have to spend, top draft capital on a wide receiver to get a good receiver. You can actually hold pat, right? And I suspect that the Atlanta Falcons definitely gonna draft a receiver in their draft. So just be on the lookout for that. Wallace says, yeah, I think they're going to be aggressive in free agents. Opens up to get an edge rusher on the first week. Yeah, if they do this, I'm telling you, if they do this, guys, I mean, it's going to be perfect. They got to be able to go ahead and get a dominant edge rusher. All right. Let's see. So that's what I'm saying about be aggressive, guys. They got to be aggressive. They do that. I think those are three things so far. All right, the next thing, something that we haven't talked about yet, right? Which was the most important thing for the Atlanta Falcons to do this offseason. And that's to draft your future franchise quarterback, right? So that would be the next thing. So you notice I didn't talk about doing a trade. I didn't talk about signing a franchise free agency quarterback. I didn't talk about none of those things, right? Because this is my vision for a perfect offseason for the Atlanta Falcons. So in my vision, right, they go draft their future franchise quarterback, right? They have to go draft it. So that's what I'm saying. They're going to go out and they're going to draft their future guy. Now you're going to say, well, do they move up or do they stay at 8? Right? In the perfect world, I don't know. Whatever they do to get their franchise quarterback, that's what I'm saying, right? So if they have to move up to go get their franchise quarterback, right? Move up to go get it. That's what I'm saying. So if you have to move up to number 3, number 2, something like that, to go get your franchise quarterback, go ahead and do that. If you can stay pat, just say the draft falls where your guy is still there at number 8, draft him at number 8, right? So that's my point, right? I'm not saying how they're going to get their future franchise quarterback because, right, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure how they're going to do it. If they move up, that means they're going to have to go out and give up draft capital, right? If they move up in the draft to go get somebody, that's fine, but at least they got their draft their quarterback. And that's why free agency is so important, right? Because if you decide you have to move up in the draft to give up draft capital, that means you need to be able to get all your needs in free agency. That's why open up that cap space is so important, right? Because you open up the cap space, you can go fill most of your needs in free agency, right? Once you do that, you're able to give up more draft capitals, so you won't have to be worrying about so much depth because you're giving up some of your depth when you start to give up your draft capital, right? So that's what I'm saying. So if they have to move up in the draft to go get their future quarterback, go ahead and do that. I'm cool with that, right? Um, the next thing is if they could stand pat at 8 and just say the draft board falls and the Atlanta Falcons get lucky and one of those guys that we want to be our quarterback somehow falls to number 8. Now I've been doing, I think I did like 6 mock drafts so far, and every time I do it, one of those quarterbacks, one of those top 3 quarterbacks fall to number 8, and which is amazing to me. I don't understand how is that the case. Like sometimes I just start over because I'm like, it's no way um Caleb Williams fall to number 8 because I have did a mock draft and he fell to number 8 for me, and I was like, okay, it's not realistic, it's fake. But guys, to be honest with you, we don't really know how the draft is going to fall, right? We hear all these analysts, we hear everybody talking about, who their top guys and things like that. But every year, you know, these teams got their own draft boards built, and they got guys higher or lower on their draft board than anybody else does. So, right, because it's if it was a correct science, exact science, how to do this, everybody will be perfect. So you don't know, where guys, got teams have these guys rated at, right? So it could happen where one of these guys that we coveted at the quarterback position falls to number 8, and that's the case. The Atlanta Falcons, they had to make no trades. They still got get all their picks in the draft, right? They was aggressive in free agency. They went and got the guys they needed in free agency, and their quarterback failed to them to in number 8. That could happen 100%. We just don't know. So what I'm saying is, this is a scenario where the Atlanta Falcons decide not to go get a free agency quarterback. They decide not to make a trade. They decide that they're going to get a quarterback in the upcoming 2024 draft. That's what be their plan. The reason why this is my vision, because you're getting a young guy that you can build with for the future.
right? And you didn't have to give up anything. Like I said, this is where they fall right to him. Now, if they move up because they know they got 100% definitely guy, this is our guy. We all sold on him. Everybody slapped the table. This is a young guy we're going to get, so we're moving up to get him. But if the table was to fall where they don't have to give up any draft picks at all, and your guy falls to year number 8, that would be the best case scenario for the Atlanta Falcons, which would really make it, like I said, the perfect offseason for this team, right? That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about quarterback. So if they able to do that, right? Like I said, they decided not to go in free agency. They decided not to go get a Kirk Cousin or Russell Wilson. They decided not to make a trade for Justin Fields, right? They decided they wasn't going to do that, right? And they decided the best case for them is to go out and get a young quarterback out the draft, and that's what they decided to do, right? This is my vision for it. I know they can go in so many different other directions here, right? But for me, the Atlanta Falcons do this, they'll be set up right because that team that we'll be looking at on paper, and you have to go off just paper, will be really, really good put around that young quarterback. That's what I'm talking about, right? Your defense should be really improved, right? Bringing back the stud Jesse Bates, you signed AJ Terrell, right? You got you another corner on the other side of him. You went and got a dominant pass rusher. You're bringing back your two studs in the middle with Amiyata, Grady Jarrett, right? You love the scheme that they're starting to run. More guys. You can see a up jump with a guy like Army Ebiketie. You also can see Zach Harrison take another step, right? You just looking at all this and you're putting that team around your young quarterback. I think, in my opinion, this should be the way the Falcon go. Now, everything has to work out for these guys. Now, you know, the draft is last. It's the last thing that comes up, to finish off, putting the team together, right? So they have to make a decision on if they're going to go ahead and go into the draft right at free agency. So we'll know right away if they're looking towards the draft. If they don't go out and get a free agency, if they don't make a trade, anything like that, now we know that their their um their goal is to try to get one in the NFL draft. That's what we'll know that really soon, probably about a week and a half to a week right after free agency starts. So look about around um, the 11th when you can start talking to free agents. March the 11th, you can actually start talking to free agents. The 14th is the new league year. So that week of free agency, we'll know right off the bat if the Atlanta Falcons is go ahead and make a decision to get a free agency, or are they going to actually trade um, for a guy like Justin Fields? We'll know that right off the bat, and then we'll be looking at the draft and see how the Falcons can get the guy they want. Right now, I'm going to throw this name out there because he's starting to gather steam. Right, and that's JJ McCarthy. I know everybody's like, hell no, right? But he's starting to gather steam, right? And so just don't be surprised if they're looking at him as the fourth guy that could be drafted in the top 10, right? Some NFL teams are already talking about it. So if that's the case, maybe he, you know, jump over one of the other three guys, right? And like I said, one of those other guys that we like fall to number 8, or he might be there at number 8. I'm just making that decision out there. I haven't looked at his tape as much as the other three guys, but we do know some things about JJ McCarthy. He was in a pro style offense, right? He played up under center, right? So he already understands that with the play action. He played with a run dominant team in Michigan. So um, some people are going to be higher on him than we think. I'm just throwing it out there. So get us Falcon fans our mindset ready, because if it happens, we're gonna have to be like, what the hell? So I'm just throwing it out there, guys. Just throwing it out there. Get your mind ready for that. But we could have 4 quarterbacks that people consider in the top, 10 instead of, just the 3 that everybody's been talking about, for the last probably 4 months, right? Of course, my option would definitely be one of those three guys. Um, I'm starting to let Drake May. He's really growing on me a whole lot. I like the way he fit into a Zach Robinson offense. So Drake May is definitely a guy that if he was to fall, that'd be perfect for us. Jaden Daniels, of course, his abilities, the way he's able to do things. I definitely like what Jalen Daniels is all about. So he's another guy that if he was to fall to number 8 would be awesome, right? But like I said, guys, they need to go get their future guy in the draft. So if they have to move up to do that, by all means, go ahead and make the trade to move up to go get him. And that will be the case if they decide to punt on free agency and a trade. That means that they know who they want in the draft and they got to go up and get him. That's just my opinion. Terry Fontenot just did an interview. He said it's the top priority for the Atlanta Falcons season is a quarterback. So I expect them to definitely be aggressive at the quarterback position as well. So let's get into some of these comments, right? Because I know we got a lot of them. Um, while it says they're going to bring receivers in with speed and going away from the big body receivers if they don't have speed. I agree. That's why I said Van Jefferson. Van Jefferson is definitely the guy um, that they definitely gonna bring in. Now you talked about speed. It's been mentioned a couple of times for our coordinator, especially our defensive coordinator, adding speed to that defense. So be on the lookout for that. Adding more speed, especially across the board. When we talk about free agency, think about guys like Leonard Floyd. Leonard Floyd just got his contract voided today from the Buffalo Bills. Of course, he has ties with Raheem Morris, so that's another guy you could think about bringing in. Another guy who's always been productive, getting after the quarterback as well. So if you don't want to bring a Bud Dupree back, he could be a guy that you definitely consider. Speedy guy off the edge, somebody we could definitely think about. A1 says, I think Pokes from Washington. Let's see what we got. And that's what Terry said. He's going to fill need through free agency 100%. I know that's his plan. What is your pass rusher of choice? My pass rusher of choice is Danielle Hunter. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I'm just gonna get that boy bad, man. That's my and I think the I think he's going to be the most available guy because I think the other two guys is going to get franchise tagged. So one of the reasons why I want to go after Danielle Hunter because I believe Brian Burns and I think Josh Allen gonna get franchise tagged. And if that's the case, they're gonna be off the market. So I think Danielle Hunter be the most available guy. And hopefully, and I don't think that the Vikings can afford to bring him back. I'm just gonna say that. So I think that he's gonna be the most available guy out there. Shit, man, we're gonna get Chris Jones. Chris Jones is a free agent as well, but I think he's going back to Kansas City. But I'm just throwing Chris Jones out there. But yeah, we won't be able to get him. Draft offense, sign veteran defense, winning combination. It's pretty much what they did, man. I agree with you. Safety deep unless we swipe Buda Baker. Yes, we get Buda Baker, man. Like, and remember, relationships matter. He was coached by Jimmy Lake. He was coached by Jimmy Lake, right? So just keep that in mind. He was coached by Jimmy Lake. So, you have to follow the tea leaves and things like that, right? Now, he's still on the contract. The Arizona Cardinals hasn't really decided to release him yet. So, we just have to see what happened to his contract. But he's not a free agent yet. I think Burns and Hunter would be the edge rusher to get. I think Allen might be a little too much to get. Yeah, Allen's going to be. I think his contract is going to be ridiculous. I agree with you, but I think both. I think Burns and Allen gonna get franchise tag anyway. And like I said, we'll be able to see some of that tomorrow because they can actually start franchise tag guys tomorrow. And right away, some of these guys are gonna get franchise tag right away. Guys like T. Higgins, they decided to franchise tag him. Um, and Antoine Whitfield Jr. I think he's going to get franchise tag right away, which means Mike Evans is going to be out there on the market for somebody. So, and if I say don't sleep on Leonard Floyd 100%, yeah, I think he's going to be a guy that you definitely can think about. Um, since all the trade options are open, what are your thoughts on trading for Lawrence, Murray, Dak, or Daniel Jones? All right, so you can scratch off Daniel Jones. Um, I do Murray. That's about it. And Lawrence, okay, I do. I don't think you're going to trade for Trevor Lawrence. I don't think they'll do that. I don't think they'll do Murray either. Um, I just don't. I mean, Dak is not a bad quarterback, but I would not trade for Dak Prescott. I'm sorry, especially with his contract situation. Right now, he's $60 million or their cap, so they're gonna have to make a decision with him at the Cowboys because they got to lower that cap number for Dak Prescott. So the Cowboys got issues because they got to make a decision on him, and they already a little bit over the cap, so they got to make a decision with some of their players as well. Um, Daniel Jones, I think, of course, he thought he fleeced the New York Giants with that $40 million contract that he got, but no, thank you. So that's a no for me. Um, I think Michigan quarterback is the best quarterback in the draft for the Falcons. Like I'm telling you, that's what a lot of people saying. I don't know. Like I said, man. Like the only knock on JJ McCarthy, he wasn't asked to do a lot. He was not because there was a run offense. There was run first team, right? But if you go look, he made the throws that were necessary to be made. That's what he did. Actually, that's what we wanted Desmond Ritter to do. Run first team, make the throws when it had to be made. The upside about by a guy like JJ McCarthy, and I'm not selling JJ McCarthy, but I'm just saying there's an upside, is that he's only 21 years old. So um, he has a lot of room to grow. So his ceiling is still not, he has not reached it yet, right? Like you look at a guy like, Desmond Ritter, who's almost 25-year-old, um, you know, did all those years in college. Like, is he at his ceiling, right? But the biggest thing for JJ McCarthy from his growth from last season to this season, it was a lot. He actually progressed a lot from one year to the next, which means to tell you that he has the ability to actually get better from one season to the next, and that's what he did. So from his 2022 season to his 23 season, he actually got better, right? At some of the things that was some of his deficiencies that he had, right? So that's one of the good things to think about when looking at JJ McCarthy. But I'm just letting you know that um, don't be surprised if he started coming to a draft board. Now the combine is going to shed a lot on a lot of guys as well, right? Because when they come out and combine is only for to validate what you've seen on film. It's I don't if you're going to raise a guy up your draft board because what you've seen at the combine, when they're shorts and shirts and stuff like that, you're really not a good scout. I'm just saying, right? You got to be able to, like, it looks like he's fast, but I want to see and validating that, yeah, he's fast. It looked like he got bend and things like that. It looks like he got a strong arm, right? You're just trying to validate what you've seen on tape. That's what you're doing, right? That's what they should be doing at the combine. They doing more than that, and like saying that he ran fast, but it didn't, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, no, that's not what real scouting is. If they doing that, that's bad. So a lot of these guys going to go out and they're going to they're going to get their stuff validated, right? That's what you want to see. And for quarterbacks than any other position, a lot of teams and scouts and GMs and things, they look at potential of a prospect more than anything, right? They look at the potential. If you go look at Josh Richardson from last year, not what his name, yeah, the kid from Florida last year, Richardson, right? they was looking at his ceiling, right? Because there's no way they looked at his film and was like, um, he's a good quarterback because he did not play well in college. He had some up and down games throughout his whole time, his whole tenure at the University of Florida. But he showed flashes. So a team that drafted him looked at what they saw in the combine and looked at the flashes, be like, we can work with that, right? They're looking at his ceiling. That's what they're looking at, right? And if you're looking at a guy's ceiling, right, that's why you're going to draft him because you're not thinking what he is right now, potentially what he can be in the future, especially when it comes to quarterbacks. Um, he said, Petro, I think they will try to get Floyd later in free agent because he will still be out there. Yeah, I think they're gonna target. Like I said, I think if they don't bring Bud Dupree back, right, in free agency, think about Leonard Floyd, another guy they could definitely look at. I'll take Ridley back. Yeah, I get Ridley back too, man. I mean, I'm just telling you, especially, you know what? I want to get Ridley just because Jacksonville don't want to sign him and give us our second round pick. That's some crap, man. Give us our second round pick, right? We already got the third, but the fact that you guys don't want to give him a contract, and I believe they don't want to give him a contract simply because they owe us a second round pick, right? You make that deal. So he said year and a half off, but 1,000 yards his first season back with a new quarterback. Yeah, man, really, like I said, he will fit perfect. I mean, doing those crossing routes in this Zach Robinson offense, I think could be he's electric, man. You just think about how many touchdowns he caught, you know, all his seasons here with the Atlanta Falcons. So definitely. Ray 50 said, I think they got to go get Fields, bro. Yeah, I mean, that's not, like I said, for me, that's not my perfect off season is going to get Fields. That's just not mine, right? I think we I had this this talk last show about bringing in Justin Fields and the upside that he has and potential he has, but man, I mean, let's just be honest. You looked at 40 game sample size, right? And now if they feel like they could fix some of his issues that he has had, right? Put him in the right system that's going to work for him. Because I think Justin Field is you have to cater a system that fits his skill set. And if you don't do that, if you're not thinking about that, this is a really passing. It's going to be a passing offense. Of course, we have two dynamic running backs going to predicate what we do in the run game, but you got to be able to pass, right? I'm not saying that Justin Field can't, but he has not shown that on a consistent basis. So, 100% if they go get Justin Field, they decide to do that. I'm with it. But for me, my ideal offseason is going to get a rookie quarterback. That's just me. Um, Said yeah, McMillan is a sleeper. If we go draft a quarterback, Jaden Daniels is my guy. Yes, I'm no argument there for me for Jaden Daniels. To be honest, this is an experiment drafted quarterback. Any of the top six could start day one. Yeah, I don't know about Bo Nix. I mean, yeah, but I mean Bo Nix, he got better, man. But Bo Nix, what's his name? Penix Jr., Michael Penix Jr. Those guys are already they old, man. These some old guys, man. They've been in the college forever, right? How higher can they ceiling be? That's just a question for me about Bo Nix and Michael Penix Jr. And I wouldn't take them, in the first round. Definitely, we consider doing it, in the later rounds. But in the first round, for me, Bo Nix and Michael Penix Jr. I'm like, Michael Penix Jr. Was he's accurate. His accuracy is really good. Left-handed guy. That's that you have to think about that because his blind side now is going to be a guy like Caleb McGarry, vice being Jake Matthews. So you got to think about things like that. Who's going to be his blind side protector? Um, so definitely I agree with you, but at the same time, I'm kind of like up in the air on, those two guys right off the bat. Um, what is your wish list? You want to follow Coach Heem from from the Rams? Um, I'm not tracking what you're asking. What's my wish list? You want? Oh, which players? Um, great question. Great question. I have to go look at their free agents right now. But there's a couple of guys that I seen. I can't think of right off the bat, but it's a couple of free agents out there that's definitely that you want to bring in, and that already know what Coach Raw trying to get to. So definitely, you that's the easiest way to bring in some of your own guys to help speed up the knowledge gap there in the process. You know that's what you need. I love the mixture of the team. With you got older guys and younger guys on the team. That's good. That's why I would definitely want a guy like Calais Camelback. I don't know how he'll fit the scheme, whatever, but I mean, I loved it when we had Dwight Freeney here. When we went into the Super Bowl that year, to see Calais Campbell here to help, teach these young guys. And if he want to come back, he want to play another season, definitely bring back Calais Campbell. Um, I wouldn't trade for none of them quarterbacks and go get them under the new regime because this is a good quarterback. See, Wallace, we on the same page, man. That's why this is my perfect off season. Like I agree with you 100%. I wouldn't go in free agency. I wouldn't go trade. I go get me a young guy. That's what I do. Right now, it's going to be tough to do it 100% because it's a rich quarterback needy lead right now. Everybody want a quarterback. So, you know, the saddest part about it is Atlanta Falcon, first plan might fall through. We'll never know that it was their first plan because they're not going to tell us that. But the first plan that they decide might fall through, right? Then they have to go to their next plan. So it's going to be tough, right? Because there's a lot of teams that want a quarterback, that need a quarterback, and some teams going to be more desperate than others. The Atlanta Falcons need to be desperate. I think they need to be one of those desperate teams. But it depends on how desperate they're going to be, right? That's the question, right? You know what I'm saying? Don't go get fleeced, right? But how desperate you're going to be. If you look back, during the season when we could have actually went and had the, the pass rusher from Chicago, right? And the Bears was able to give a more draft pick. We would have had him, right? He would have came back to Atlanta, but Chicago was more aggressive, and they went and got him. That's what they wanted. They wanted to go get that guy, Montez Sweat, right? So they went and paid more money for him. Can we get outbidded? 100%. Definitely, we can get outbidded, right? We can 100% get outbidded by teams, right? So Atlanta Falcons need to be one of the most desperate and aggressive teams if they got the guy they want. That's how they have to be, right? So I agree with you. My vision is to go get a young guy. However, we don't know their thought process, right? I mean, let's be honest. you know, New coaching regime. Arthur Blank expects us to be successful in year one, right? It's not where as a new coaching regime come in and they got a year of, to try to figure it out. No, expectations is the team is a quarterback away, with some other pieces put around. And if that's the case, right, he got to deliver. So, you can't be second guessing your process of what you want to do. You got to be real deliberate and go out and make the right thing. So that's where they're at right now. And I agree with you. If they want to get one of these young quarterbacks, they need to be aggressive and be desperate. I just hate to say it that way, but that's the truth. That's what they got to be. He said Wilson is not my choice. Like I said we can't blame these quarterbacks for staying in college these extra years. The COVID rule give them a better chance to get drafted. I'm not hating on the guys. I just don't know how their ceiling going to be. So I mean, I'm definitely not hating on those guys at all, 100%. I mean, but I can tell you this much, right? When you play that long, right, it's a lot of tape on you, right? And this is the reason why Des Ritter got picked in the third round because his junior season was better than his senior season. Go back and look. His junior season was actually better than his senior season for Desmond Ritter, right? So he didn't progress from one season to the next. That's why he because I think if he would have came out the year prior, he probably would have got drafted higher than he did the year he came out because his junior season was actually better than his senior season. And that's what happens. You put more film out there, more tape out there, and they started to say, well, he didn't improve from one year to the next. That's why I was talking about JJ McCarthy. If you look at what he did in 2022, he actually got better in 2023. And that's what you want to see. Now, to your point, Michael Penix, Bo Nix, 100%, they both improved their game from one season to the next. So that's what you want to see. So the extra year actually really helped those guys. I think it hurt a guy like Desmond Ritter in his draft capital because he actually didn't play as well as he did his junior year. So those are some of the things you been in college so long, right? Your blemishes, your flaws. Like I said, if um you didn't improve in this, you're doing the same thing you was doing last year. You're doing the same thing you're doing the year before, or you're not going to progress in those things. That's what I'm talking about. So that's what I'll do. Um, and then the last thing, guys, um, to finish off this perfect 2024 season, and this is me. This is Ricondo, real Falcon fan, talking here. What I would do for this Atlanta Falcon team, perfect 2024 season for me would be add depth to the rest of the roster. So once you added more cap space, right? First cutting those three guys I just talked about earlier, Heineke, um, Renzo Carter, and John Smith. You can restructure contracts, whatever you need to do to add cap space, right? You need to do that. You need to make sure you take care of AJ Terrell, Kyle Pitts, right? Extend AJ, pick up Kyle Pitts for your option, right? Be aggressive in free agency. Include our own free agents first. See who we can bring back from that list. A couple of guys come in mind: Dupree, Campbell, Akuda. Definitely bring those guys back. And then you be really aggressive in free agency around the league. Go get your dominant pass rusher. Sell all out for that, just like you did when you went and got Jesse Bates, right? You do that. The next thing you do, you go draft your franchise quarterback. You gotta draft your franchise quarterback. If you do that, in the draft, in the top 10, however you do it, you move up or you stay pat at 8. Get your guy that you want to be the franchise quarterback for the future. And then to end it off, guys, you want to be able to add depth to the some of your roster spots that you need, right? You want to be able to go look at safety position. If you can do that, how you can actually add some more space to safeties. We like what DeMarco Helms did. Um, Richard Grant, just his coverage skills is not where we want to be. Even though he's going into a new defensive scheme, we'll see how that that pans out for him. But if they can go get an upgrade at the safety position to go along with Jesse Bates, that would be good. Um, we want to see the progression from all our guys that's currently on the roster, especially our young guys. We want to see what Troy Anderson is going to look like. Another guy that definitely need to sign is Nate Landman. I don't know how I forgot to mention him, but Nate Landman is another guy that Atlanta Falcons need to make sure they bring back to the fold as well. He's definitely a guy that Atlanta Falcons definitely should consider bringing back. But between our linebacker core, we have to be able to go get a number 2 receiver, go along with Drake London. That's a must, right? And add more receivers to that receiver room. Um, they do that, guys. I think the Atlanta Falcons would go the into the the offseason as one of the favorites to win the NFC South. Just going to leave it there. They should be a favorite to win the NFC South because they will have the best roster in the division, right? From top to bottom. Definitely will still be unknown at our quarterback position because of youth at our quarterback, you know, but he's gonna be our guy for the hopefully for the next decade. You know, that's what we're painting on. That's why we went in the draft and got him. Um, and if they make these moves, I think the Atlanta Falcons will definitely, you know, win NFC South, put ourselves in the tournament, and then we could see what happened from there. All right, guys. So that's my 2024 season, perfect off season for the Atlanta Falcons. That's what I think. Definitely can go a whole different directions here. You know, coming up with personnel. The biggest thing is the elephant in the room, like Raheem Morris said, is the quarterback position. So that's going to dictate, you know, which direction they go in for all this. But like I said, guys, once free agency start, we'll get an idea right away the direction Atlanta Falcons decide to go at that quarterback position, and then everything else will start to take fold for us because if they decide not to go and get a franchise quarterback or trade for a quarterback, we know that they're looking in the NFL draft because they have said that their top priority is to get a good quarterback in here. So if that's the case, we know they're going in the draft to address that, and then we know they're going to be aggressive and dare I say desperate to go get their quarterback. So guys, thanks for coming in. Sorry for the glitches I had to start the show once again. Um, internet, that's where it is, that's where it falls, but we was able to get through it. Um, definitely want to hear from everybody else. If you just get in, if you haven't heard, please go back to the beginning to where I started the show talking about some my perfect 2024 off season for the Atlanta Falcons. Please like, share this throughout everybody else, all other Falcon fan come in. Definitely be back on Wednesday live, but look out for my draft series. Next series be talking about the edge rushers in this 24 NFL draft, guys that they could potentially go draft at the top of the draft. So that's all I have. Thank you guys coming in. This is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.